So hey everyone, it's Cheeky.
Yeah.
So before we get started, I just want to add on some moisturizer. I always like to add some moisturizer before I apply any foundation, only because I have eczema and it's a great way to keep your skin nice and hydrated and for your makeup to not look as cakey. So you just want to make sure you smooth that all in. Next, I'm adding my Tatach Luminous Deep Hydration Firming Serum. This is basically it's a primer. Next, I'm adding on my eyebrows. So I use Dip Brow by Anastasia. You really only want to use a little bit because a little bit goes a long way. So as you can see, I start at the top of my eyebrow, and make sure you always brush your eyebrow out. So I start at the top of my eyebrow and I brush it out, and I go along the outline of my eyebrow, staying inside the lines and just brushing in the direction of my hairs so that they lay down and that nothing's sticking up at the end. So you really just want to blend, and you don't want to keep adding any product only because a little goes a long way. If you see that you are running out of product, you can, dip your brush into your pomade, but again, a little goes a long way. So you just want to make sure that you're going from angle to angle and really just brushing everything out. And you don't want it to be too dark, so that's why you have a spoolie, and that's going to help it look really natural and for the eyebrow to come really nice together. So now I'm going to start on the next eyebrow. Just make sure you brush your eyebrow out so everything's nice and smooth. So you brush that out, and you just want to make sure that everything, again, is natural looking and it's not as dark. And just keep doing that and make sure it's blended. Now, as you can see, I outlined my eyebrow with my concealer. I'm using the Nars Amande concealer, the creamy kind. I like the creamy kind only because it goes on nice and smooth and it doesn't have the shine effect that most concealers do have. So again, you just want to use the nice straight side on your angle brush. I like to make sure that I'm using the straight side to blend in the concealer. I do use the angled side to apply the concealer, but by using the straight side, you get a nice straight eyebrow at the same time. It's going to look more natural, and I just use my finger to blend in any parts that I feel like are not needed. This could be something that most people don't do, but for me, I think this works because I can see what needs to be blended and how much needs to be blended. I'm going to add my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer. For me, I really only add a little bit because a little bit goes a long way. Literally, just a little bit, you guys. So now I'm just going to rub my fingers together and add that to my eyelids, rubbing that completely in so that you cannot see it. I'm also just going to add a little bit of highlighter for my eyebrows. You want to do that right underneath the outline. So where you applied your concealer, that's where you are going to put your highlighter. That just gives your eyebrows a little bit more oomph and a little bit more definition. So now using, any blendable eyeshadow brush, I am going to use Limit. And I'm also going to use the eyeshadow color called Mooner using my Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. So I just use a little bit of both of those shadows just to add a little bit of definition to the eyes. This is going to be your base color. Let me slow it down for you. Make sure you tap your brush so that you have no fallout. You want to blend that on the entire eyelid because, again, this is your base color. And I like this color because it has a little pink in it. And for me, my eyelids have a little bit of pink. So if you go with a eyeshadow color base that is comparable to your natural eyelid color, it will only enhance what your eyes look like. So now you just want to make sure that you're blending, people, because nobody wants to see an eyelid that has, you know, dense lines and, you know, no. Make sure you're blending. So I'm adding a little bit of eyeshadow primer because I'm going to add my primary eyeshadow color. And again, make sure you're blending. So I will list the products that I am using. Using another eyeshadow brush, you just want to add a little bit, maybe a lot, it's up to you, and you're pressing it into where you applied the primer. By pressing it, that allows the eyeshadow to stay on longer, and then you just blend in any of the edges. So again, I'm just going to keep pressing, and blending. That's so that your color can be intense and so that your color can stay on long. So just keep blending, guys. Blend, blend, blend. That's the key to success, is blending. So now I'm going to use this soft purple. It's a little bit more dense when I do put it on, and I'm going to add that right into the crease of my eyelid. If you have a crease brush, I highly recommend that you use that brush only because it's easier to blend. With this brush, I had to kind of keep going back and forth with it because it was a little bit more harder to blend. So you're going to do that on both sides, and for me, I'll start off with a little bit, and if I add to the other side, I'll see that I need to add a little bit more, I need to add a bit less, but you always want to make sure that you're blending. The key to perfect eyeshadow is blending and pressing. Blending and pressing is the key. Now I'm going to do my eyeliner. Now I'm not saying I'm the best at eyeliner at all, but I make a point first and I draw a line. So basically it's like connecting the dots. I make a point to where I think my point of my cat eye should be, and I just, you know, draw a triangle. And then after, I will go along the lid and make my straight line. So that's the easiest way I learned how to do a cat eye. Everyone's different, but for me this works because I get a nice straight line at the end. But again, I'm not the best at cat eyes, but over time you do learn how to get them just the way you like it. So before I start the next eye, I try to make sure that everything's even so I can know, you know, okay, this is where the cat eye is going to be. And it's a little bit easier once you do that because, you know, everything's going to be even and you don't have to keep taking it off. So if you do the points first, then you know that, okay, this is where I need to do my cat eye. And then after that, you just draw the line. And a little touch up here and there works too. Now using my beauty blender, I just add these dots just so I can see how much foundation I actually need to apply. In this video, I'm actually using the Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. And you just want to blend into the hairline. You want to make sure that there's no fallout from your eyeshadow. Make sure everything is nice and even and straight. And that's how you make sure that, you know, your eyeshadow's on point. So just blend, just keep blending. Blend until you feel like you blended enough. I hate when I see foundation lines on the neck. I hate it. So blend. So now I'm gonna add again my concealer. I put underneath the eyes. And this is a more natural look, so I'm not going as intense with my concealer as I would if I was to go out. I put it on my forehead, I put it up on my lip, I put it on my chin. So these are the 4 areas that I actually apply concealer for a natural look. Normally we'll do the triangle of light, but I'm not doing that. And also, you're just gonna take your beauty blender and you're just gonna blend, blend, blend. Blend it until you don't see any lines, people. Blend. Now, I'm not going to set my concealer only, again, because it's a more natural look and I'm not going to the club. So this is like a date night look. So just blend. So now I'm using my Divergent palette. I'm going to use the Burnt Mahogany base. So if you have like a deep brown, this is just so I can contour. Normally I use a different contour color, but for right now this is what I have. And this is what I'm going to use. I'm using the end of one of the brushes that came in the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. And this is just so I can get the idea of where I want to blend my contour. And by going from cheek to ear, that's how you know where your contour should lie. And I'm also putting it on my forehead. I put a little bit on my cheek. Because I have a round face, I have to put it in these areas so that I have a more slender looking face. And, you know, blend. Blend, people. Blend. Now, I don't always advise to use the eyeshadow because it is a little bit harder to blend. So if you just have like, you know, an actual contour palette handy, then I would suggest doing that. See, as you can see, I kind of messed up. So, I mean, for me, I know what I'm doing, hopefully. But I just wing it and I just blend. Just keep blending. Now, I'm using my Bobbi Brown bronzer, and I just like to add a little bit of bronzer to the areas that I contoured. Again, this just gives it a more natural look, and it just gives the contour a little bit more definition. So I just added, you know, to the cheek, and I added to the forehead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So make sure you blend that out. Next, you just want to set your foundation. I'm using my Cover FX foundation powder. Add some eyeliner to your eyelid. If you have smaller eyes, you only want to go halfway. Because I have bigger eyes, I go all the way on the waterline of my eyes. Now I'm going to add some mascara. I like to use 2 mascaras sometimes, only because it gives my eyes more of a definition. Now you're going to add your blush. You only want to add a little bit on the apples of your cheeks, and blend that too. You can add some down the middle of your face, you know, just for a little bit more oomph. I don't know what I was looking for. Oh, the highlighter. So don't forget your highlighter. Add that right above where you applied your bronzer. So as you can see, I did add a little bit of primer to the lip. That's just so I don't have any runoff from the lip stain that I'm using. So I am just going to go, you know, really slow with the lip stain because I don't want to mess up. And just go along the line of your lips. You want to, basically it's like coloring. Stay in the lines. And for me, I do go a little bit outside the lines because I have little lips and I have to give them definition. So I do go outside the lines. I'm trying to get my Kylie Jenner on, people. So go outside the lines if you want the Kylie Jenner lip. And now, I'm done.
Now I can smile without you. New splash, you didn't put me first, now who's last, New splash, you didn't put me first, now who's last, New splash, you didn't put me first, now who's last, New splash, you didn't put me first, now who's last, Yeah.
Huh? No, she said she has 2 cases of water in her car and she needs help. I know, I told her I'm recording right now. I'm in the middle of recording. I don't want to do all that.